What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the LCS. Game 3 of the day. We're cruising right along, even if the teams aren't moving as fast as maybe we'd want them to.
Dash is mad at the games.
I'm not. Don't make it sound like I'm that angry. I would just like to see, just like Flowers and Azeal, I'd like to see any amount of action, maybe before the 15-minute mark.
Clayton slowly losing his mind, actually.
I'm worried for him come week 3, week 4, you know? Like, we got to see some, get Corky out of that mid lane, please. No more Azir, please.
I want to see how bad he gets. Keep it in there.
That's a good social experiment.
That would be. Mark is definitely the devil on the shoulder there. 100 Thieves, TSM. We're going to start with 100 Thieves because as we all know, they failed to claim back-to-back LCS titles.
Oh no!
Even in the face of a lot of faith from pundits, us and pundits alike, on that finals.
It's because they did that reverse sweep against TL right before finals weekend. And I think this paints the picture that this team does have a next gear that can win championships. And what plagued them all spring split, even in the lock-in tournament, was the consistency concerns of, well, you can show up, but will you?
Yeah, I mean, what we were expecting for 100 Thieves in the final, and what I guess they did in the top half of the bracket before finals weekend, the evil geniuses did the entire way.
Yeah.
It's like that, I wouldn't want to say overperformance, but performing under pressure is what they did. And it is now what the spotlight is on 100 Thieves, is if they can essentially do it again and learn from the mistakes of what happened when they went up against evil geniuses on that final stage.
Yeah, and I think, obviously, we can talk about Abbedagge because I think he was the most inconsistent player on 100 Thieves when they were struggling in season. But again, like it's so hard to stress, like when this team works, they are phenomenal. Like once they find what they want their draft to be and how they want to play in a meta, they can be so good, which is also alternatively why it's so difficult to bet against them sometimes.
I pulled out my phone just because I wanted to get this tweet specifically from Parth. This is where our good friend Parth tweeted this out. Regarding 100 Thieves LCS, this is the first time in 7 years that an organization has fielded the same starting roster for 3 splits in a row. How cool is that? So that's it. Just to me, it speaks to, even though they fell a little short in spring, and it'd be very easy, I think, for an organization to knee-jerk to that. Well, this roster won the split before, couldn't get it done this time, then it must be time to make changes. For them to decide not to, no, we're still going to put heavy investment into this roster, that's cool for me to see.
Yeah, and I mean, on your screen right here, you're going to see Ssumday, who had, I think him and Closer were very visibly the highlights and their most consistent pressure points. The team actually talked about this in draft, about how they can rely on specifically Ssumday and his Tryndamere and kind of pivot around that. I also just think that, like, we talk about how inconsistent they were. They were still at the top of the standings.
Yeah. Well, they ripped off, like, what was it, 8 or 10 game win streak to get there? Yeah, they had that
insane win streak at the end of the split. So, like, we're still talking about a team that was towards the top of the standings, going into at the top of the standings, and then went through all of playoffs to finals.
Well, and to be fair, I think one of the things that speaks to believing in your players is Ssumday did improve. He was not great last year, or was kind of an afterthought on weak side a lot of the time. He had insane Tryndamere games, play around him a lot more. They absolutely destroyed Summit in playoffs, him and Closer together. And it showed that just because a player has been on your team for a while doesn't mean they can't play differently in the future, or that they can't adapt. And I think that's what, heading into summer, and the importance of late game team fighting, we need to see Abbedagge and FBI kind of return to.
Apologies, the point still stands.
I was going to say,
I just read the follow-up to it, which only states that CLG also actually in
that 7-year
in spring, in spring 16 to summer 17. But even then, right? Okay, it's now 2022. It's been 5 years instead of 7 years since
or
this has
2 years and 7
Yeah.
teams, as saying it another way.
That's another way to say it, exactly. So regardless, to me, I think it still is a very cool point to see that the org is standing behind this set of 5 players because we know what they're capable of. As Mark has said, we know where that championship winning gear is. It's just about finding it at the right time.
Exactly. It's like, here's the thing. It's not even just them. It's not them being stubborn at all about the roster, because they challenged them. The fact that Tenacity was that 6th man that was waiting. While at the same time, on that stage in finals weekend, it's also Busios that was standing there. So it's not as if they were like saying that we will not change our roster. It's that the players themselves are giving us reason for them to keep to them. If a team is getting you to the finals every time, why would you change it, right? So it makes a lot of sense, and this team is driven. Every time you hear them in an interview, you feel that.
And one player you're not worried about is Closer. Closer was an absolute beast in playoffs. He is such a pop-off player. Like, he will take over the game. And I think it's interesting to keep an eye on him with the slower pace meta, junglers are not running over the game right now. If anyone watched the first two, I can tell you this is happening in other regions as well. It is no longer the early game pop-off 80 jungler king meta that it kind of was for a little bit. And I think how he will adapt into this slower paced game is a big question.
Even the whole team. How does the whole team adapt, right? Because again, we just isolate the 3 splits now that they've been together, and this is a very different version of the game of League of Legends than the one that they won on.
Yes, and I think that the key is that bot lane.
Yep.
You know, FBI and huhi, not so long ago, were just the best bot lane in the league, and it was crazy that in Spring Split, they were the ones that were inconsistent. And if they want to be strong in a team fighting meta that we've just seen our past 2 games, that we've seen in the LPL, LCK, and just the LEC this morning, you better be able to team fight around a strong AD carry.
Now, for all of the talk of the lack of changes in the 100 Thieves camp, opposite that 100 Thieves squad today is TSM, and head coach Chawi shared some thoughts on veteran addition Maple. Let's take a look.
So we had some issues during the Spring Split. We realized we need to change the roster a little bit. Things were not working well, so we looked for new players, and then we got Maple in, and then he was a great addition to the team. He speaks a lot more. His experience, bringing in the experience to the team, helped us a lot more.
And with those words, he is a very storied player coming out of what was the LMS, the PCS, and he's also played in LPL. So all the way back in 2013, he started with the Gamania Bears.
Go Bears!
He joined Flash Wolves. When he was on this team who was consistently at the top of the standings in LMS, to the point where when they went to international competitions, we were talking about them as the Flash Wolves region, not the LMS specifically. So obviously, domestic titles coming in, gets picked up. A lot of players, starting with Karsa, one of his former teammates on Flash Wolves, started migrating over to mainland China in the LPL. He joined Suning, they finished 7th. He joined LNG, they finished 13th. So again, against stiffer competition, had some more issues with the teams that he was on, and additionally is coming to the latter part of his career. Goes back to PCS, joins PSG Talon, wins the championship in spring and summer. They go to MSI. They actually made MSI quarterfinals, joined Anyone's Legend previously. They did not do well. They were one of the teams in the lowest standings in LPL, and then now joins TSM. So obviously, I know Chai had talked about how he wants Maple to bring that veteran experience that's going to rely a lot on communication, but he has a very storied career, and he is a very experienced player.
His career is insane. There's some things up there that I think, like his MSI performances, they have like the one World's Quarters, but he had some other pretty insane ones as well. He has been a thorn in the side of Western teams in group stages so often.
Eastern as well at times. I can't tell you the number of years that Flash Wolves, for example, goes to the international stage, and there's really only 2 names that were, it's Karsa and Maple, and those are the ones that were repeating over and over again in tracking that team's success.
Most specifically, I remember in 2017, just because of him joining TSM, he helped keep TSM from advancing out of that group.
He ruined their chance.
There you have it.
But
that was like one of the only games they won in that group stage.
Yeah, so no doubt TSM as an organization has found themselves in a bit of a valley performance-wise. But the hope is, obviously, that in addition with a veteran like Maple is what they're going to need to kind of pull themselves out of that rut. Not the only change, though, that has been made to this roster. Right?
Yeah, bringing in Mia. So like a player who was a Korean import and was in the LLA, but of course, a lot of people took notice from him in his performance in Champions Queue. He was one of the higher rated players in Champions Queue, like you mentioned earlier, Emily, in the day. So the fact that they were able to recognize that, put him onto the roster, and then of course, like initially there was an expectation that Shenyi was going to be the one that started. But Mia was just killing it in his first week in Academy. So I was like, wait a minute, he is just a strong support. Let's start him in the LCS.
yeah, so I'm really excited because I feel like it gives TSM a chance to restart after a really bad spring split where they struggled a lot. And I don't think Maple needs to come in and carry. He doesn't need to be like world quarterfinalist Maple because Huni, Spica, and Tactical bring a lot of firepower.
Yeah, and then I think the thing is, like I said, how well is he going to be able to communicate? And coordinate with the team?
That's always one of the biggest questions, right? You make changes, you're bringing in people from different regions around the world. How will they communicate? How well will they gel on the day? It's a tall order going up against 100 Thieves. Now, as we get ready to head into the arena, let's get a look at this summer's TSM lineup.
Well, they look like they're ready to rumble.
Damn, that was sick. I gotta give some props to TSM. They made that themselves, so that was actually a sick intro for the team.
All right, well, props to the TSM content team, but now it's time to see if the TSM team on stage can back it up. TSM is coming off of their most tumultuous split ever.
Yeah.
Also, what some fans and all of the haters would say is their most entertaining split ever, as it was just one thing after another going wild in spring.
Yep.
Bringing in Maple, Mia's in for Shinyi. TSM wants summer to be as different from spring as it can possibly be. Game one's the perfect place to start.
Absolutely. I will give them a little bit of credit from spring, because I think one thing that a lot of people have been overlooking is they won 3 of their last 5 games for their last 8, right? Like, that is not TSM standard, but that is way better than they did in the rest of the split, right? They started like 1-8 and then went 4-4 or whatever after that. So, you know, was a lot better in the second half for TSM. And with some new additions, this is a team that could be ramping up a lot here. Closer looking like he's getting into the zone.
Here. Yeah.
A lot of focus, maybe a little bit of meditation there, it looks like.
And I mean, let's not forget the last time we saw this 100 Thieves squad was not a great time for them either. We saw them make it to the finals of the LCS in spring, but then 100 Thieves, and whenever they appear in finals, Isaac, it's always just a matter of
somebody
speed.
gets stopped.
Yeah, they're either winning or losing at record pace. We saw their first 0-3 against Team Liquid, their second 3-0 against Team Liquid, now another 0-3 against Evil Geniuses.
Yeah.
When they go to finals, finals gets done fast, but unfortunately for the Thieves, it wasn't the way they wanted, so they're looking to start summer off with a strong statement too.
Absolutely, and you know, you want to be in the hunt for those top positions right out the gate here. Super week, it's important to have a good start. We're playing 3 games. It's a significant portion of the split right out the gate. TSM, I'm really interested. I mean, Mia's an interesting addition, but I'm really interested in see how Maple is going to perform against Abbedagge. Abbedagge did not have a great spring. You know, wasn't performing, I think, to the level that was kind of expected of him. In playoffs, he really did ramp up.
Yeah.
And I am expecting him to kind of bring that level, that presence that we got from him last year. And Maple, from everything exactly everything I've seen from Maple, I've watched a lot of his streaming in Champions Queue, and everything I've heard, you know, it's really not about the laning for him. Like, his laning is not bad by any means, but I do not expect him to be creating big advantages in lane. And I do think that this current meta actually works in his favor, because it's much more about just farming it out in lane, and then his map movements and his team play is really, really good. And I think one thing that could work heavily in TSM's favor this split is if Maple can do a lot of the talking, and if he can do a lot of the kind of driving of conversation, and Spica can just focus on jungling, like, that will work in his favor, right? Because there was a lot of things going on with TSM, Spica having to translate, Spica having to shot call, doing all these different things, and we did not see him look like he did when he won MVP just 1 year ago. So really looking to see if TSM can have Spica back at the top of his game, you know, carrying as he was not long ago.
Well, with the draft starting up here, let's take a look at the bans. Kalista, Taliyah, Twitch, Viego, Senna, Zeri, all banned away. We've actually seen 3 of these all the champions banned by TSM. We've already seen so far in the game today.
Huni
On the
Rumble?
other side, the bans coming out, but yeah, Huni Rumble might be in the cards. The champion is locked in next to Karma. Over on the other side, it's Lucian picked first for 100 Thieves. We've got the Nami to go with it. We saw how strong this was in game 2, and Wukong is no slouch in the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. Wukong is so popular these days. You know, if you watch a lot of Champions Queue streams, you'll see it doesn't always get banned, but it pretty much always gets picked. It's one of those picks that's almost always going to be going towards it if it is available. So Closer are going to get a really powerful team fighter there. Of course, we'll see if TSM can kind of just survive the onslaught that is Lucian Nami. Went really bad last game, but Ezreal plus the Karma is going to have a lot better time in the 2v2. A lot of good poke if you can land that. And you also have the ability to kind of just sit back and try to just absorb that pressure, farm it up, play it a little bit more slowly. We'll see if TSM's going to be able to do that. Focus now on the top lane, banning out the Ornn, which has been so popular. Yone banned out again. We saw that in the first game of the day today, that was banned away. I also think it's really smart when you've already seen that there was an AP top laner, Karma's AP, Ezreal has some mixed damage in there, so they're going to want a true physical threat, and Yone is kind of one of the premier physical damage mid laners these days. Scales really, really well. So going to be able to take that away from Maple. It's also, I think, maybe his best champion that I've seen him on. I would say his Yone and his Zoe are the two that have impressed me the most from all the games I've been watching, but he's been mixing in things like Swain also. It's just...
But you're listing a lot of AP
too
champions.
Much AP, yeah.
And then Yone, of course, although he does have the splash into magic damage with the passive, still 75% physical.
Yeah.
So much more physically threatening than something like a Zoe, something like a Swain. TF going to be the other ban here in the second half alongside that Ornn for TSM. One more to go from 100 Thieves. And the Zoe, what you're talking about. Okay, so
those are his best champs.
Both
everything
barrels
I've seen.
Aimed right at Maple.
And I think it's smart, right? It's not necessarily banning just what is the meta, because we're seeing a lot more control mages. But everything I've seen from him in Champions Queue is like he makes plays on these champions, right? Whether he's up or down in farm, in lane, he can really make things happen. So going to be taking that away.
Spicy hot pot, Jarvan and Rumble.
J4 plus Rumble, great combo there. You can have the Ezreal ulti over the top as well. And I'm just curious, what is going to be the answer here, in mid lane? Are we going to get control mages again? Corki, Azir, Victor, that has been what we have mostly been seeing so far today. Ahri was so popular in the MSI patch, but really kind of has fallen out of favor. But when you think about 100 Thieves, how 100 Thieves really is at their best is when they're playing aggressive, when they're setting up dives, right? And this meta, it's harder to do that. So they are going to go towards the Ahri. It is blind. Some follow-up there for the engage. That is the Wukong. Wukong going to be kind of that primary engage for now. You have the Ahri to follow up. You have the Nami ult over top. Will they draft some sort of secondary or primary engage for Ssumday up in top lane?
Well, that's what the Ornn was banned out by TSM for, predicting that, saying, all right, you've already got that powerful team fighting tool in the Wukong, let's not give him that. Gnar, of course, we know he can be a powerful engager. Of course, it is more situational than like an Ornn or something along those lines. But hey, it's there, it can play frontline and set up opportunities for Lucian and Ahri to follow up.
100 Thieves comp feels very mid-gamey. Like, it feels like this is a comp that you need to kind of get ahead, win through bot, be controlling those dragons as much as you possibly can. Azir, as well as the Ezreal, are going to be really hard to deal with later in the game. Like, that is going to be the big problem. There is a splash in the early game, of course, I think, with the Rumble, with the J4. That is going to be the kind of early game power from TSM. How they will be able to use that is going to be interesting because Lucian Nami wants to play aggressive to actually punish people, but J4 can make short work of that because those are squishy champions. If you get too far up there as a Nami, you get caught out, you can definitely be going down in a hurry.
I also really like Jarvan Rumble just in the context of how we've been seeing the fights happen before 25 minutes in our first couple of games. It's always objectives. It's always these fights in these cramped spaces around the Rift Herald pit, around the Dragon pit, whatever. Jarvan and Rumble mess you up in those places. They love fighting in those places.
They absolutely do, but one thing I will say, who's the easy pick for Jarvan Rumble, right? You have Ahri ult, you have Lucian dash, you have Wukong with a clone, you have Hop with the Gnar. It becomes very difficult. There's not like a Victor where it's like, yep, we're going on that guy every fight. It's going to be based around, positioning. It's going to be based around what cooldowns are down, but it's not easy pickings, I think, for that combo.
Yeah, you don't want to flip the NOS switch on Nami every time and just use everything in the tank to blow up the support. So although they have the tools, the targets are going to be more difficult. I'm ready for it. Show to get us ready to go here for game number 3. And what is that? Mr. Azeal?
What is that over
here? The battle cry from years long past. they're hoping comes on back.
TSM, man, the fans always remain for this org. Such a popular organization. The TSM chants are a league mainstay. Like, honestly, everywhere. You know, you go to Worlds, you hear TSM chants, whether they're there or not.
Or not, the chants are going.
Yeah, the chants are going to be there.
That's the aspiration. If you're playing on TSM, you want to go all the places that your chants do, because that means you're going to World Finals, you're going to every international event. It's going to be the whole big deal. But let's go ahead and see how they navigate this one. Looking around at everything, we are already seeing Huni taking the Ignite up there in the top lane. I do believe this is the first time in today's games that we are not seeing a top laner have a teleport. Of course, the Sejuani in game number 1 had the Ignite, but next to the teleport, it was the Flash that was foregone in favor of that. So there will be an overall teleport advantage for the side of 100 Thieves. But as you already talked about towards the end of draft, this comp feels like it wants to spike in the mid-game, so it's not like they're looking to get to a 40-minute game where you're playing with teleports, trying to use that as your element.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I think 100 Thieves is for sure pretty mid-game focused. I think that, you know, TSM has like focus with the top side, right, with the J4 and the Rumble. They also have some really good scaling with Deer and the Ezreal. I think they're going to be difficult for 100 Thieves to deal with if that game gets to that point. But Rumble, you know, mostly when I've been seeing it, it is this Ignite Comet style, playing it into these types of matchups. You can sometimes really run them over if you're very accurate with the Electro Harpoons. The slow hit confirms the Comet. You can try to whittle them down, look to bring up your jungler, you know, flash on them with the Ignite, maybe get a kill. But Ssumday obviously playing respectfully towards that. You know, he is going more defensive with the fleet footwork. It is not Conqueror, it is not Grasp, it is more about just surviving this lane.
And especially, you know, talking about Rumble, talking about being able to land those harpoons, weave them around stuff. No matter what Rumble's current status in the game of League of Legends is, whether he's a 3 out of 10 champion or an 8 out of 10 champion, he always gets a +1 if Huni's playing it for me, just because of the plays we've seen this man make in the past. The amount of experience, the amount of expertise that he has on Rumble is always something you can look forward to, and it's always one of those things where you've got to account for the Huni clutch factor.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say Rumble and GP are the two that most people point towards as, like, if Huni gets it, he might just 1v9. You know, regardless of what else is happening around him.
The Huni crit.
He is so good on those champions and has been for so many years. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a nice little chunk of damage there.
That was a flash, though. Like, just straight up insta-flash.
Yeah,
I'm actually
Via
shocked.
wanted nothing to do with that.
That seems like a little bit of nerves.
Oh, but we're talking about instant plays coming out here. The turnaround. Oh. TSM gets first blood. It's going to be traded back, so we got 1 for 1. Spica looking to keep going after Closer. Flashes in, but we're going down to the bottom lane now instead. Closer dies in the mid lane. We'll have to look at the replay to see it.
A double kill for Spica. The perfect timing on the counter gank there comes in, and bot side, forcing out double sums off of FBI as, you know, Mia very quick to flash away. That to me looks like a little bit of nerves, like a little bit of you know, too much kind of jitters there, getting hyphy, seeing someone going forward, just insta flashing away. But a great counter gank. And all time, Huni 23 and 12 on the Rumble. So really incredible stuff there. You know, almost that 66% win rate. Nice little chunk of damage there from Abbedagge, as Maple's just trying to push this in and reset. And we'll see what Spica can get done with his lead. We can watch this one more time.
Yeah,
Spica already in the area. Out comes Closer, and Maple, the charm does land. It's a flash in for the charm. He flashes back towards the brush. Spica is there, lands the full combo, and then just chasing him down, flashing to follow. They know that the flash is down there for Closer. The W slow, Q to finish him off. Really well played by Spica. He's got the early Iron Spike whip plus the longsword on top. And now he's feeling good about his chances to actually win out in the duels. So just invading into Closer's jungle here, looking to stay active. Also has the refresh on the double buff. So you're going to be winning out in a lot of those 1v1s.
I've always loved when Jarvan gets the kill with the Q. It feels like some sort of execution battle sequence out of Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones was bad or something. Like, it was really good. But Ssumday's going to get dove, and Huni's leading the charge. Ssumday hops back over his head. Huni gets the kill, but he'll trade his own life away for it. I'll still call that a dub for TSM because they get the assist money.
Yeah.
They're going to crash the wave into the turret as well.
Exactly. The wave should bounce out towards Huni. It is double sums off him, though. It's important that Huni got the kill himself, because if your jungler gets a kill in that situation and the enemy top laner just TPs back and gets the XP advantage, you can really start to fall behind. Ssumday also playing for that 1v1 is a Hex Drinker. So, you know, going to be able to try to set himself up for success. It does mean he's going to be vulnerable to the J4 ganks, though, because you bought no armor and no health. So you have to keep that in mind.
That being said, though, against just the Rumble, incredibly effective item,
So
right?
good, yeah.
Throughout the entire history of League of Legends, Hex Drinker has always been one of the most cost-effective, low price point items to be able to deal with a mage in a 1v1 situation.
Yeah.
Or even survive some burst in a team fight, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of magic damage from TSM. You know, Ezreal has a decent amount of magic damage mixed in. Obviously, double AP soul laners. And yes, J4 is threatening early, but J4 is not going to be like the significant portion of the damage later on. So
Especially
you're going to
not
be
to
pretty
Gnar.
happy. Exactly. You're going to be pretty happy to have that Hex Drinker, both for the 1v1 and also later on for those 5v5s. But it does mean your Mythic is going to be very delayed. Gnar very often wants tier 2 boots here early as well. So if you go Hex Drinker and early tier 2 boots, that's going to be a
That's
long
2,500 gold there just between those.
Yeah.
So you're stuck waiting a while. Of course, the nature of any ranged versus melee matchup, the boots and their importance are going to be very much italicized, right? Like you've got to have this. Because if the ranged guy has them and the melee guy doesn't, melee guy can't play the game.
Yep.
Melee guy has him and ranged guy doesn't. Hey, ranged guy, this is a melee
He's
fight.
going to run you down.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and especially with Gnar, he depends so much on move speed. You get the hyper proc, you get the move speed bonus, the boomerang slows him down, and a lot of the way that Gnar wins out on these trades is your opponent steps forward, tries to get damage to you, and then as their trade is ending, you slow them down and you chase them down, and you're trying to return fire kind of on the back end of that trade to really even it out. Spica here up towards that top scuttle should be able to secure it, working out towards that Gore Drinker here early on.
Yep, and as Spica and Closer were both walking towards this neutral area, towards this
6.
crab, Closer knows he can't fight Spica. Spica got both of those kills in the mid lane. He's accelerated. Closer now about to lose his Gromp. Nice smite there. Makes sure he's able to secure it. Equalizer comes down, finds the 100 Thieves jungler. Closer going to lose half HP to that. But the important thing is he did not get picked. He did not die.
Does not die. They will be able to steal away the blue buff as well. So really kind of living in his jungle. What's pretty important that Closer actually won that smite, because if he loses the Gromp too, it does start to feel pretty rough. You start really falling down in XP. But he will still have his bot side of the map to clear. Spica's just going to go back towards his red, look to grab that. Hasn't been any priority on the early dragons, though, you know, because it is TSM winning out in the jungle, but their bot is going to be pushed in. They don't feel that they have that confidence to actually start this up. So we'll see if it is going to be Closer heading down towards that dragon to try to grab that.
Yeah, I mean, this is more kills than the previous games had at like 25 minutes, but we're also not seeing that 5-minute and 50-second first Drake that we got in the first 2 games.
It's a trade I'll take.
Yeah, I will happily take that. I'll take that trade any day of the week. But 5 kills at 8 minutes is definitely our fastest paced game of the day thus far. It is a nearly 2,000 gold advantage for TSM. FTX total gold chart on the left side of your screen right now. That's a lot of TSM colors at the top of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Out to a really good start. Both the soul laners and the jungler here very far ahead. Closer, though, grabbing this Herald, looking to secure that, and it will be traded very likely for the dragon on the bot side. No, I thought Mia was potentially going to try to leash that, start that up, but it doesn't look like they are going to start it. They're just keeping a little bit of vision on it. So despite the early lead, it is 100 Thieves grabbing the first objective here. Spica kind of just holding the wave there for Maple, and pushing it on bot side will be able to grab their first plate.
So let me pose you this question, Isaac, because we talked earlier on about 100 Thieves wanting to be able to use these mid-game powerful champions here to get an advantage rolling for themselves earlier on. When do you expect to see that? Like, Spica's about to pick up the first Drake here. Doesn't look like we're going to get a lot of challenge for that. TSM's got the early game on lock. What's the window? When do you pull that trigger on the side of 100 Thieves?
On the side of 100 Thieves, I think it's going to come around their first item completion. You know, you get Everfrost there for Ahri, you get the Gale Force potentially in for FBI, and those are 2 really big purchases. And I think when you have that, as well as, you know, the Sunder for Closer, that is when they're going to really look to fight. Imperial Mandate is also actually a really big buy for the Nami, and especially with this combo. It's one of the times that you don't actually feel bad about your Enchanter support getting gold sometimes, because that actually adds a lot of damage there for the Lucian. So I think really it's going to be about getting those first item completions in at a reasonable time, and then looking to start challenging at the dragons, because they're not on a big clock right now. It's not like TSM is taking a super early dragon or pushing towards soul or anything.
Right.
But I do think long term, there's going to be this window in, say, the next like 10, 15 minutes where 100 Thieves want to create an advantage, or I do expect Azir and Ezreal to start taking over.
Well, Azir and Ezreal, we know that things are going to get scary if it gets to that late game point. But right now, things are sort of just proceeding fine for both sides here in the mid lane. 0, 1, and 2 for Maple, 0, 1, and 1 for so nobody off to the races just yet. Maple does have the farm.
Double his assists.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely dominated.
Exactly. Down here in bottom lane, FBI and huhi are not able to achieve the same level of Lucian Nami lane dominance that we saw against the Zeri Yuumi in the previous game. We even mentioned this talking about Ezreal Karma. Yeah, they're not as vulnerable to it as, you know, Guitar Hero Yuumi. I'm sorry, I have to make that joke every time. Come on.
Yeah, it's a good joke. And to be fair, it's also more dangerous because Spica got ahead, right? And if you actually push and try to play aggressive, like you have to dash on the Karma and the Ezreal to try to make things happen to get those good trades as the Lucian. If you're doing that and Spica's in the area, you're in trouble. And Abbedagge now, no ult, gonna have to flash.
Flashes over the wall, but the follow is coming in. Spica wants to go after this, but Closer is going in after Mia, wants to get dunked back. Mia's got to be careful. Spica goes in for the dunk, and now Maple's following up with the damage. Mia's going to be traded off, though. He's just left to the Wolves, or rather to the King of the Jungle here. Closer getting it done on Wukong. It'll be 1 for 1.
Yeah, excuse you? Left to the Wolves, left to the Monkeys.
Yeah, the Monkeys just tore him apart on that one. Closer on the board now for the second time. Both junglers with 2 kills.
Yeah, nicely done. It is a much more valuable kill for TSM, of course. You know, taking down Abbedagge, going to be able to push in that mid lane. There's no TP on Abbedagge as well. But at the same time, you know, Mia going down means Tactical has got to play defensive. They lose a play already here down this bottom side. Potentially could lose a second. It is going to be a bit close. Huni just dropping the equalizer here to chunk out Ssumday and force him back to base, but he does have that TP available.
Well, Herald summoned up here in bottom lane. They could get 3 plates here if they want to do the auto attacks to get that last little bit of damage, but no, it's too dangerous. They don't want to overcommit to that, so they'll just get the 2 free plates that are guaranteed. Honestly, the gold lead's not going anywhere, back or forth. Like, both sides are making plays a little bit here. Mythic items starting to come online, though. Riftmaker there for the Rumble, Leandry's for the Azir. It's not technically a Mythic, but hey, it's an Essence Reaver for Tactical already completed there on the Ezreal. We're getting to the point where I think we're going to start seeing some bigger fights.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, once 100 Thieves gets their item completions, I think they are going to start to look to scrap here. Whether it's going to be the 2nd or the 3rd dragon that they really choose to fight for kind of remains to be seen. I am surprised to see Riftmaker, though. I just don't think you're going to win the game through side. Like, yes, it gives you sustain. Yes, it is pretty good in the 1v1 for actually dealing with some of the Gnar harass and be able to, you know, maintain dominance there. But I just think the Rocket Belt is so much more powerful for the 5v5.
Just for the burst.
The burst, the ability to actually have that Mythic passive, the ability to close the gap with that Rocket Belt on some of these carries that are going to be pretty evasive. Like we talked about it, 4 out of 5 of the people have a dash or a jump on the 100 Thieves side. So I'm surprised to see him prioritize that lane a little bit more, but we'll see if that actually comes to bite him in the butt whatsoever when it does come time to fight.
Or if it takes a big bite out of 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it just might be the thing that you need. No, that's...
Someone's butt is getting bitten here, Flowers.
Somebody's eating cake. But now we have to see who ends up taking control. The Riftmaker, very powerful in the side lane situation. It obviously is going to make things more difficult for Ssumday to wear down his health with that poke in the range form, being able to kite him around and whatnot. You already talked about the Gnar trading pattern, how obnoxious it can be as he trades when you try to disengage after the fact. TSM, let's see if they're really looking here at this blue buff. They were able to steal the last one away after they got Closer to flee. And if nothing else, they're at least going to force the blue buff onto the jungler instead of onto Abbedagge, who's now going to eat some damage, dashes away there with the ulti, loses half HP, but with TSM having taken that very important cooldown from the enemy mid laner, they're sticking around to try to steal some Gromps now too. Spica smites that one away, uses the EQ combo, gets himself back into the river, and the TSM secret mission into the enemy jungle is accomplished.
TSM's looking really good so far. You know, Spica getting that early advantage, and I love that as soon as he got those first couple kills, just immediately into the enemy jungle and really hasn't stopped going back in there. You know, just taking away the ultimate there from Abbedagge, taking away the blue buff from him by making Closer secure it, steals away another Gromp. He's up on farm, has really done a good job actually having some strong presence early on here in the game. And TSM, as a result, have a pretty significant advantage. And without the Everfrost being done, I mean, maybe it's going to get completed right now, but I do think it's going to be TSM's Dragon. I don't think they're going to actually look to fight with Ahri having no ult, with no ult on Lucian. So they're going to give this one up, and we're going to probably look towards that 3rd Dragon. I'm expecting 400 Thieves to really try to contest, but TSM extending their advantage.
And hey, this is the consequences of having the early game be more PvP AWP focused instead of objective focused, in either of the previous games, we'd be closer to third Dragon right now. That would be closer to giving away Soul Point. But since it's only 2 Drakes, since that first one was taken so slowly, there's still breathing time here for 100 Thieves. Now, if the next one just goes away for free, now we might start having to ask some questions. But it looks like Closer and Ssumday, they're going to make sure they get the second Rift Herald just like they got the first one. Remember, they got the 2 plate value in bottom lane of that. Abbedagge's got no ulti. It's about to come back up. Cooldown is almost ready, but it's not quite there. Gets it just in time to get away. Spica flashing back around. They're about to crash the wave into the turret. Abbedagge sidestepping away from everything. Tactical has not gone back in enough, and there he finally shifts in and grabs the kill.
Okay, they got the job done, let's be honest.
That was wacky.
That was not the cleanest dive there.
Somebody put some yakety sack music on
Some
that.
clear miscommunication. As Spica's holding the turret aggro, but Tactical could just gone in and autoed him, but he's still fishing for Qs because I don't think he realized that he wasn't going to be the one to get aggro. The flash as well from Spica, flashing forward after using all the abilities. I don't know if he was trying to drop turret aggro there or what was going on. A little bit wacky, but TSM do get the job done. They lose their tower mid for it. All's okay.
All's okay that ends okay.
Yeah.
Still a 2,500 gold lead for TSM, which still feels really good for this squad. 16.5 minutes into the game, so we're still far away from having something big like Baron to fight over. But right around the time that he would be spawning is also when we're going to get our third Drake, and I expect that to be our next major battle.
And you just look at mid lane now, and that's becoming pretty concerning, right? You know, the Ahri is actually very far down. The Ahri's down 45 CS plus the kill. And
she doesn't scale into a monster.
No, nothing like the Azir is going to. Ahri is more in pro, generally kind of like more utility unless you're way ahead. Because you usually go Everfrost and Azonias, that's kind of the most common. And people just try to like CC people up, lock them down. Of course, you can do damage, and if you're way ahead, then you can go more aggressive, go Shadow Flame, etc., and try to 100-0 people. But Abbedagge is going to be playing from way behind, and this is going to be a tough situation for him as a result.
And I mean, even just the build, like you're talking about Shadow Flame, the thing that I've always heard people talk about with that item is, hey, yeah, Shadow Flame can be good if you're already building Spell Pen boots, if you're building one of the Spell Pen mythics. Neither one of those.
That's true.
We're 0 for 2. We're 0 for 2, so it is looking like more of a utility-based approach, and Abbedagge sitting on 0 and 3 right now, not having the ideal game. We'll see how well he can recover that as 100 Thieves tries to make more plays. They're bringing a whole crew down here bottom. Maple with the flash away, but Abbedagge is now in a bad spot himself, down to 20% HP. Nami wave's gonna make sure TSM can't chase any further, but Spica's still looking. Abbedagge gets himself out, but 100 Thieves sends 4 men bottom and gets not a whole lot for it. Maple's flash, but nothing more.
Yeah, they're going to lose a wave mid here for sure. Tactical going to be able to push that in. Of course, Huni being matched by Ssumday, so not much of an advantage to really be gained up there. Trying to evade, see if the Krugs are up. They are, of course, down. But we'll claim a little bit of vision. We'll get more minions denied and more tower damage down here mid. Going to force out the TP as well from Abbedagge. He's just been having his resources taxed very heavily. It feels like he's almost always with no ultimate, with no flash, and now going to go right for him.
Equalizer drop down, True Shot Barrage hits him, but a nice Everfrost is going to keep Huni locked in a bad place. He tries to get away, but Closer knows how to spin to win. TSM gets too hyphy, and Huni pays the price.
Yeah, Huni getting way too aggressive there, you know, trying to pull off this dive. It felt like because he made the roam, he really wanted to force something, knowing that Ssumday's working away on that tower up on the top side. But, you know, trying to dive between these towers here, he pulls turret aggro. Yes, you're going to get charmed up. Yes, there's going to be the CC to follow. So he has to flash out. It's tough.
Everfrost is such a powerful item. Like, you can just throw it out at the guy, even if you only hit the slow. If you're a champion that has a hard CC already in your kit, hey, you're chain CCing him yourself. Look at me, I'm the setup and the execution. Everfrost, balanced item.
It's a self-alley-oop, man.
Yeah, it's a great item.
Off the backboard to himself.
Set yourself up for the alley-oop dunk. Everfrost allows them to be able to deny those kinds of plays. Huni walking up on that one was obviously not great for TSM, but he will have the ulti ready to go in time for the Hextech Drake, and that is important. This will be soul point if TSM can get it. TSM still at about a 3,000 almost gold lead. Almost at 20 minutes here as well, which means if either team gets a really good team fight and just 5-0 aces the other side, it could be a Baron afterwards.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially for TSM, Azir shreds that thing so fast. Already 2 items, Demonic plus the Leandries, double burn. Seems to be the kind of the new wave for Azir. I've been seeing this a lot. He is going area, of course, as well. Tactical already on 2 items, too. So the carry's much stronger right now for TSM. Of course, Closer on the other side, he is a major threat. And Ssumday has the Gnar bar prepped. So it's going to be about the engage. If they can find that perfect engage, they can win out in this fight. But Closer is getting chunked down here.
Okay, we've got the Drake at 3K.
Gnar bar
Resetting,
proc.
losing patience. Closer goes in. Maple's going to be caught, but he throws the Rhino back. Shut down over to Abbedagge. Ssumday doesn't get a whole lot, but the equalizer is dropped down, and now he's going to be killed. Spica trapped in his own Cataclysm. 1-for-1 trade so far. Mid laner for top laner. But the Drake went away 100 Thieves, and that was their goal here.
Yeah, that was massive, being able to get that dragon. Are they going to try to threaten the Baron? They're pinging towards it.
Yeah, they're going.
They don't have their Azir, but they do have TP when he's available. This is risky. I mean, Spica is so low, but they're just going to get right on it. And the Hex Gates are there, so you can see them coming out on the map. 100 Thieves trying to rush out, using those Hex Gates to get up here. Not certain that they know exactly what's going on, but they will see it now.
Spica has such low health. Closer tries to go forward. Spica still having the smite. Does not panic. Smite for healing. Maple's back in now. He's ready to go with a pit. TP coming in from Ssumday. TSM looking to burn the Drake, and they got it. Closer looks to flash in, but he ain't going to get nothing. Baron Nashor going over to Spica. Shut down onto Closer's going to be traded back here. It's Huni and Mia dead for Closer. The fight goes to 100 Thieves, but the Baron sits in the pocket of 3 TSM players.
Yeah, pretty good for TSM. They go -1 kill, but they do get the Baron, and they keep both their important carries alive here, so they should be able to wave clear. Maple going to check that brush, not caught face checking. They will lose the tower off the back end of this, so the initial power play will not be big. You can see the FTX gold advantage down to 2.7K there at this point. But TSM, as their players respawn, should be able to get out on the map and try to collect some of this gold. You can see the Hex Gates were a big deal, getting him out here in time. Closer trying to come in, but it's the turn from TSM, pushing Closer back, denying any sort of a chance of him to get in there and steal it. Tactical and Huni just turn right on him. Then the TP comes in from the Azir. They finish off the Baron, they secure it, and it's just full-on retreat. They know Mia is going to be gone. Huni has no flash, so he's going to be going down as well. But with those major carries getting out over the wall, it's still really good for TSM. And now with everyone respawned, they have the opportunity to try to extend this gold lead here, to look towards that top side, grab that last remaining tier 1.
Felt like Closer didn't have the read on how fast TSM was going to burst.
Had no vision.
Yeah, he flashes in like as it's already dying.
Yeah.
That felt a little bit too much for me. But all in all, at least they got a couple of kills there. But now TSM has this Baron for the next, what is that, 90 seconds? So let's see what they can find. Currently at a negative 300 power play, so they've got some distance to make up. They are doing their best, and their best is about to at least get them this first turret. There's still tier 2 turrets standing in all 3 lanes. Generally, once you get the first Baron of the game, unless you're severely behind, which TSM are not by any stretch of the imagination, tier 2s are prime targets.
Absolutely. Ssumday trying to trade on the other side, did take tier 1, was working on the tier 2. Huni just using the equalizer to clear that one out because multiple people were missing. Had the read that a second player could be there. A second player was. So respectful stuff from him. They will take that tier 2 top, extending that gold advantage a little bit more. And we'll see if they can get anything else with this. 45 seconds remaining, so if they could push for another tier 2, that would be fantastic. And Spica feeling confident, just takes the aggressive Hex Gate straight in to opposing territory here, trying to look for a bit of a wraparound.
Okay, he's found the Nami. The one person who couldn't dash out of the damn thing flashes out of it. That's a feels bad if you're playing Jarvan, man. Oh, unlucky. Unlucky. But TSM's push continues. 20 more seconds they've got this Baron for. They'll summon up the Azir turret here in mid. No wave. The wave's not going to arrive in time either. I mean, 10 seconds and it's not even at the river yet, so TSM won't really be able to do a whole lot more with this buff. 100 Thieves moving up with their own minion wave to contest this enemy fake turret. As, unfortunately, the minions have arrived, but the buff is gone, meaning it'll be much easier for 100 Thieves to clear this out and try to stop this push. TSM not dissuaded, though, still hanging around, now finally giving it up, walking back into the enemy jungle. Sweeper armed and ready to go. You can see Mia looking for some of that vision. It is very dark in this bottom side jungle for the side of 100 Thieves. They don't know where exactly TSM is. TSM control wards placed down in these different brushes. Unfortunately, slightly missing that bottom brush down over there. But hey, TSM's got control, and they're looking to see if they can find a pick.
Yep. Just trying to set up. Tactical's just looking to bait. He's like, maybe my E's on cooldown. Come over here.
Maybe
Spica's hiding in the brush. So playing this out well. I like that they're controlling the vision in this area. Gonna try to find that ward just below them, but Spica will not see it. But again, stealing away camps, creating these small incremental advantages, trying to play through 2 lanes, pushing in bot, pushing in mid, trying to threaten here to get more damage down on these remaining tier 2 towers. So I really like the setup here in that area. Have Spica in between. Anytime someone face checks him, they will be in danger. And TSM just slowly whittling away, trying to create these incremental advantages. And guess what? The Dragon spawning in a couple seconds here. It is a TP flank, though, coming in here from Abbedagge.
TP's gonna put him in a spot where he might be able to make a move. Huni checks with the Electro Harpoon, but he's not gonna find anything here just yet. Flash out, buffered, but it won't matter. Tactical's down. 100 Thieves find the enemy AD carry in one fell swoop. They take him out. Now, Closer's going to lose his Hex Drinker there to that Equalizer, but honestly, not a lot of damage being done to the team as a whole with that one. And with it down, and Ssumday's Gnar bar charged, 100 Thieves is still in a pretty good spot. The big thing, they got to be careful with Closer. He's below half, now he's going in over the wall. Ssumday looks to make the move, but the Dragon's going to be secured by Closer. Ssumday now stuck in the Cataclysm. 100 Thieves, they lose a man, but they take the objective. It'll be a 1-for-1 trade with a +1 Drake to 100 Thieves.
The 100 Thieves grabbing those dragons here really, really big, winning out back-to-back times there. That charm from Abbedagge was a big-time play there, catching Tactical. He had the E buffer in, but just gets tagged. Abbedagge on the flank here. The charm just tags him, and that's one you should have been able to react to. That was max range. It was not a flash in your face or anything like that. As soon as he gets tagged with it, no hesitation from 100 Thieves. In they go. Closer bursts him out. The Equalizer softens people up, and they know there's no ultimate on Wukong. So they say, hey, maybe we can actually stay around because most of the ultimates are missing. I was really kind of interested by this choice, though, from Maple. I thought he was just going to use the ulti for a disengage. Instead, he just scoops in the Gnar. They look to burst him down. It does cost him his flash as he has to kind of retreat back there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, at least trading that kill. I mean, this is a very squishy Gnar. He's on the Maw plus the Triforce, so not a lot of HP in the build whatsoever. Does mean you are very, very susceptible to getting burst down.
And I got to give credit to Abbedagge because we were talking earlier about how, hey, the game's not going his way. He was 0-3-1 at one point. He was heavily targeted by TSM. Yeah, he was not having a great early game. TSM was hard focusing him, but he's had some really solid impact here in these fights afterwards. Ssumday now getting collapsed on up here in topside. TSM giving chase to the poor little mini Gnar. But 100 Thieves is sending in the backup.
I mean, TSM are on the wrong side of the map, right? You know, this is kind of awkward if TSM can't get out of this. We'll see. 100 Thieves, do they want to actually force this fight? Because they have them kind of pinned in here. I'm not sure if they like their chances, but no flash on Maple, remember?
Oh, Maple in the zone. Abbedagge's got the charm and the Everfrost and the whole kitchen sink. They take out the enemy mid. They take out the enemy support. 100 Thieves. Oh, they're doing some criminal things to TSM right now. Absolutely murdering them.
Oh, they're going to keep chasing as well. Abbedagge going over the wall here for Spica.
Spica trapped inside the Cataclysm here with the enemy mid laner. Over the wall comes huhi to back them up. Enemy jungler down. 100 Thieves. They get 4 kills for nothing, and they're going to take the Baron too.
Oh, this is huge for 100 Thieves here. Who even flashing the wall to help him out there as TSM way overcommitted for what was a pick that they were trying to go here on Ssumday. I mean, this is a one-man ulti that they committed to the Gnar. This is later on in the play now. The stopwatch was good, but look how split they are. Maple, the bubble was perfectly timed. The charm follows up there as well. Closer's in on top. He just goes down in a hurry. And then everyone piling in. Mia bursts down. Tactical trying to play this out. If he shifts back, the Gnar will just Mega Gnar him in, so there's no way out that side, but FBI and Abbedagge waiting for him, take him out. And then as this fight gets close, look at huhi, just flashes straight over the wall, lands the bubble, has the heal in to make the difference in that what was previously a 1v1. Really good stuff from 100 Thieves, just punishing TSM. Wow. Wrong side of the map. And
0 damage from Maple. Taken down before he was able to do it. TSM, aka Team Save Maple, is a North American organization who was unfortunately unable to preserve their mid laner in the jungle, leading to a massive swing in tempo for 100 Thieves, who are now firmly in the driver's seat, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. They are looking good. Still great scaling for TSM, but I mean, they were heavily in the lead for a lot of this game. It's been back-to-back dragons going 100 Thieves' way, and now this swing is really, really big. as TSM, you know, just overcommitting to try to kill Ssumday, aren't able to even pick him off. Everyone from 100 Thieves collapses on them because they're on the wrong side of the. You lose all those kills, you lose the Baron. The gold lead's going to start going pretty heavily in favor of 100 Thieves. You can see FTX gold advantage now 1K up. They were down, what, 3K, 3.5K?
They were down over 3,000 gold. Now with the tier 2s being picked up, if this one mid lane falls, which I believe it should, Closer empowering the minions to allow that to happen just from the cannon by itself. Ssumday will step forward. There's your nearly 2,000 gold lead. And 100 Thieves has had an awesome defense here in the mid-game.
Yeah.
The deck was truly stacked against them. TSM had a great lead, but they've played it so well. They've stopped back-to-back Drakes. They're now even on that count. The next one's going to spawn here in 20 seconds. They've taken out all the tier 2 turrets from the TSM side. The gold lead is now 3,000 for them.
Yeah, that's a massive swing. And they have Dragon Prowl, right? There's not really any way in here for TSM. They have no vision. Like, you look at this whole area on the map because they've been pushed in. That's their vision line right there, right? That's as far as they can see. They have nothing else in the entire area. So that's going to be given over. Despite the first 2 dragons going to TSM, it's going to be sole point first for 100 Thieves.
Abbedagge went from 0-3-1 to 3-3-7. After the early game ended and the larger skirmishes began, roundabout when you were talking about 100 Thieves looking to make plays, their mid laner went 3-0-6 in that time period.
I mean, he's got the death gap now. Like, he's right back in there. The gold is going to be pretty even 10 stacks on that Dark Seal. So if he wants, you could go Mage Eyes at that point.
Get the book.
Yeah, get the book if you're feeling confident, man. Because Maple was looking like he was going to be running away with this, but it has been Abbedagge making those bigger plays.
The charms, the catches, they're so critical. This is what is allowing 100 Thieves to find these moments, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to discount anybody else on the team. Like, obviously, the follow-up, the waves, the bubbles, the timing from huhi has also been very important, specifically in that Maple pick that led to the Baron. But man, I'm really liking the recovery we've seen from Abbedagge, especially with what you talked about leading into this game, talking in draft. His regular spring split was nothing special. You aren't writing home about it. You're barely noticing it. Yeah, he turned it on in playoffs, but 100 Thieves fans specifically are looking for him to be able to come into summer looking like his classic self. And hey, early game here didn't quite fit the bill, but the mid game's been pretty badass.
But it's a quicker ramp, you know?
Yeah,
the early game was spring. The mid game is playoffs.
14-minute ramp up for the season. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that ramp. All right. Now let's see if TSM can respond because now the shoes are on the other foot, right?
Yep.
They're the ones who have to dig in, find ways to make the fights work. They still have this scaling advantage, right? They still have Ezreal. They still have Azir. They still have these champions that will be incredibly powerful at 6 items.
They really will. And we did actually get the book upgrade. So Mage Eye's coming through here, had the 10 stacks, feeling confident, wants to maximize power right now. Tactical, probably going for Prowler's Claw is my assumption here for the Mythic this late.
Yep.
Just looking to really kind of maximize damage. But Tactical's going to have to really be on point. You know, getting caught with that charm was very punishing, had the shift, was a little bit late on it, you know, didn't use the flash. That's really where it felt like the game started to turn.
Yep.
Because TSM, you know, had those early 2 dragons, really wanted to play for Soul, but it's 33 minutes in, they're still 2 dragons away. If they mess up on that one more time, well, Ssumday looking to take this 1v1, the Ignite has to be dropped immediately from Huni just to push him back.
He also missed the boomerang there, so he was able to grab some more distance just through that. But yeah, man, this is quite a turnaround. Quite a turn of events here for the side of 100 Thieves. Next Drake, 2.5 minutes. And speaking of those Drakes, the individual Drakes themselves, like in the Age of Dragon Souls, these Drakes don't feel as impactful for the baby ones as they did in the past. But the individual Hextech Drakes give 6% attack speed and 6 ability haste each. So they're currently at 18 attack speed, 18 ability haste. That's awesome. Tactical's getting jumped on. FBI's got him. Tactical is gone, and TSM has to run. Huni wants to turn it around, but he'll be put straight into the ground. 6 feet deep. Double kill back over to FBI. Keep on knocking. He don't stop rocking. Mia's the next one to go MIA indeed. Ssumday takes him out. 4-0. Thieves are marching down mid.
And look at those respawn timers. 40 seconds on Huni here. Maple going to try to do his best to thin waves. So we'll see if 100 Thieves wants to play for double inhib or if they're going to look for the end. TP coming in mid. Ssumday is moving to join the team. It looks like they're going to try to push for the end here. It's up to Maple. Tactical's not up for 15 seconds. Can he even clear the wave?
This is a torpedo sent straight towards mid lane, courtesy of 100 Thieves. Maple goes in. Tactical alive in 5 seconds. Maple's dead in 2. Ace for the side of 100 Thieves. Game for the side of 100 Thieves.
Man, that game really turned up very fast for 100 Thieves.
Look at the grin. Do you see the grin on his face? He knows he just turned that game around. He knows he was 0-3 and he ended the game like a true Chad.
Yeah, man. 100 Thieves
man, that was good.
Getting a good win for themselves. Those picks on Tactical, though, were so punishing. Tactical, again, gets caught out there. You know, doesn't get the E over the wall, didn't use the flash, gets taken down. With him falling, that is pretty much it for their chances in that team fight. Everyone from TSM was trying to come in and bail him out, but 100 Thieves find the pick, just like they did at that Dragon fight earlier. 100 Thieves capitalizing way better in these skirmishes, in these 5v5s. They were the better team. TSM created some really good advantages in the early game. You know, speaking of great counter gank, they were in the face of 100 Thieves, invading in the jungle. Maple created a large advantage in farm, but they never really able to make good on any of those advantages. It was 100 Thieves coming out on top at every single dragon, getting those dragons, and it was them coming out on top when it came down to these important fights, always being the ones to actually find the pick.
Yeah, the pick. That was the story of this whole mid-game for me. The setups, the picks, like what you talked about, finding Tactical there in that bottom side river, making sure the Drake stack couldn't keep going. Finding Maple in the top side, the blue buff jungle there on the blue team side that guaranteed that they were able to get the Baron. And then again, Tactical for the play that ends the game. And I feel like we saw a lot of this during spring as well. Tactical can be TSM's biggest sinner or their biggest saint. And the problem is, it can go really, really wrong.
I mean, he's going to really want that one back. I mean, both those deaths were pretty avoidable, and he died both times without using his flash. Like, that's got to be a frustrating game for him and for them to start off the season with. But 100 Thieves should be happy. Good skirmishing, battling back from what was a tough early position.
Hey, TSM came out with some heat, but it was 100 Thieves bringing the fire. And now we're heading over to the State Farm Analyst Desk after we head to the stage to catch up with Abbedagge in the Verizon postgame interview.
Thanks, Flowers. Here we are after game number 3, 100 Thieves victory. I've got Abbedagge with me. Looked like a very different game in the early stages compared to the end. How did 100 Thieves turn that around? Hint, hint, you were part of it.
I would like to say...
Yeah, you got it.
I would like to say if you take down one thief, there's still 4 thieves you have to kill, you know? And my team had me this game, and I'm glad that I could find my way back. It was a really rough one, honestly. Like, they were always targeting me, and I felt a bit shaky, but at the end, I think I actually smurfed pretty hard.
And part of that was this game just did feel a bit different from what we've seen so far. The bloodiest early game, 3 kills by 3:30. Oh my goodness. So when you were thinking of what you were expecting coming into this new meta, how much did that align with it? A lot of this early action compared to earlier games.
Our scrims don't really look like those stage games that we have seen, like the long games with 0 kills at 25 minutes. The thieves are always out for blood. That's all I can tell you.
Maybe you're out for a little more blood this time around as well, making an appearance way back in spring, but a little bit of an ending unlike what you were hoping for. Can you tell me some of your recovery from spring coming into here, how you're feeling going into these matches?
I think at the end of spring, we just kind of didn't really find the thing that works for us basically as a team. So we kind of, our plan for the summer was to work up from the foundations, and we thought that we have to change our whole game to come back strong for summer and also keep improving our ceiling. So just kind of like throw everything out the window and improve.
Throwing everything else out the window, but keeping the roster together, which isn't the case for a lot of these teams. For instance, you just faced off against Maple. Any thoughts on this prospect coming through? A veteran from other regions now in the LCS.
I think maybe try 1v1 next time.
I'm sure he'll take note. Abbedagge, thank you so much for the interview. It's good to see you back on the stage.
Thank you.
We've got a couple more games coming our way. We're heading to a break, but on the other side, Immortals are facing off against Team Liquid. Don't miss it.
I call it the wheel.
I don't think so.
This is a miss.
Brother David, behold! It's a fork! I got 10 forks right here, baby!
A toilet? We're not animals. We go outside like humans.
Hancock!
No king!
The people shall have the right to vote!
Even the stupid ones? Yes!
Edison, can I be honest with you? It stinks.
Nobody's gone to the moon, ever! Why not? It's far! It's too far! It's far!
の未来はポータブルミュージックです。
バカか！出て行け！バタリがいてもいるぞ！バタリ！
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
On Ssumday,